Welcome to TEChBrits, the show your mother warned you not to miss. Yep, not to watch, not to miss. Yep, that made some amount of sense.
It made no sense at all.
No, that's what half the show's about as well. If you watched our radio interview last week and have joined us on account of that, then welcome. You already know what we're about, so let's get into the show. Exactly.
Such a good show lined up. Before we get on to stories, though, I do want to quickly mention that you're probably looking at my t-shirt. The big G.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big G. No, I'm never doing that again on there. Mm-hmm. I haven't changed sides. It's just a t-shirt. I put it on.
Yeah,
that's all.
There's no reason to blow this all out of proportion. Don't worry.
No, don't go Engadget. You know, George Lim from TEChBrits is now wearing a Google t-shirt. He's switched. He's not an Apple fanboy anymore.
Well, if you want to start a massive discussion about that, awesome. That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
In fact, really cool. Go to all of the tech blogs you can think of and leave that as a tip.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be really cool.
If it makes it onto one, I'll be happy.
Yeah. Get it trending, get it everywhere. That's going to be some awesome
This is going to be the TEChBrits Hoax. The TEChBrits Hoax. This is an idea that's just come flesh out the air. We normally write notes down for the show, but this is amazing.
You know what? No.
Make the TEChBrits Hoax. We're going to hashtag, we'll call it what? TEChBritsShirt.
Yeah, we didn't really have time to think of anything more catchy than TEChBritsShirt.
We want you to tip all of the blogs you can find. Engadget, Gizmodo, anything. Any website that will write a story and just say, George Lim is no longer an Apple fanboy, he switched to Google, and just make up an elaborate story about the fact that I switched to Google. And you guys will be praised. Oh my god. I'm really excited now. So excited that we're going to move on to our stories.
Yes.
We got submitted by a little friend of ours on Twitter, Paul Watson. He submitted a story basically asking what we think about 4G versus sort of low area Wi-Fi.
Yeah. 4G versus, fiber broadband in rural kind of areas. So first of all, 4G in general can't replace fiber broadband at the moment, because fiber broadband is capable of speeds up to like a gigabit per second. So 4G can't quite match those speeds. Although in rural areas, where, again, you don't tend to have fiber broadband, and we tend to have like quite a big problem with our infrastructure here in the UK anyway. 4G and wireless kind of technologies will be huge and will make a massive deal to people out in rural areas.
Yeah, I mean, the whole 4G versus Wi-Fi argument, obviously 4G, what the speeds does 4G do?
Currently, they seem to average between about 25 and 30 megabits.
So, the moment everyone in a rural area is getting on 4G, it's going to go down.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's supposed to be more capable than that. I think supposedly in some areas you're supposed to get up speeds of about 50 megabits per second, but that seems to be a general scenario case at the moment. And 4G isn't that widespread yet, so soon as it has a big load of people and a much wider user base, then there's going to be much more struggle on the network and probably will drag it down. Yeah,
I mean, the whole fact with Wi-Fi is dedicated to your home. You know, how 4G works is it's a mass, it gets sent out to your phones and your tablets and whatever. That's the simple man's way. Wi-Fi goes from the company to your home, and it is your little bottle of internet.
Yeah, then it's just broadcast around your area.
Yeah, exactly, your house. So Wi-Fi to me is a no-brainer, but in areas where sort of you don't have the option of very good Wi-Fi, I think the moment Wi-Fi is there, 4G is out the window. I think 4G will be a temporary measure.
And again, this will be a very use case scenario. Like, it'll be different for each person. Like, even here with your broadband at the moment, you're getting quite low speeds, where you're actually getting higher speeds, even your 3G. So, yeah, it's going to be dependent on your scenario, and not only that, how much you're willing to spend, I suppose, as well. Because of
the cheaper you spend, the less sort of you get. It's like a phone bill.
Exactly, and I mean 4G at the moment is very expensive, especially with EE. I mean, because they have exclusivity to 4G at the moment until early 2013, they put quite a big tax on it. They are very expensive.
Well, the year 2012 has gone by quickly enough. 2014 will be around the corner.
Rise to 5G.
Huh?
And then the rise of 5G.
5G.
Which we're actually already invested in, which is weird.
It's not that weird.
Yeah, but considering the thing, we don't, like I said, we don't even have the infrastructure yet to provide fiber broadband. And we're behind nearly every other country. We should at least invest in that first.
Well, why not jump to the 5G and then it will be ahead of everyone else that way?
Well, be ahead of them in that way, like you said, but then we do still need fiber broadband, I think. But hey, 5G is a while off yet. Maybe 5G will be even better somehow than fiber broadband, but
there we go. WiiU!
Yep, the WiiU just released. As a massive gamer, then I'm usually the one most qualified to speak about this, but I'm not that excited, and it doesn't seem to be that hyped and that buzzed about like the original Wii release was. It seems to be sort of a bit kind of shoved to the side.
I don't know if it's been shoved to the side. It's different to the original Wii, because the original Wii was, this is a console you don't need to just sit there and tap buttons. This is an exercise console.
Mm-hmm.
This is a console where you're swinging around, you know,
yeah,
swinging around, you're making a mess, breaking your TVs. And it was at a reasonable price point.
Yeah.
£108.
I was going to say, I think that's what a big selling point of it was that it was a very attractive price.
And it was a family console. It was mum, dad, granddad, grandma, just all get in the living room and swing around with this sword.
Yeah.
The Wii U, on the other hand, is now trying to compete with the Kinect, the PlayStation Move, and it's tight competition. And so what they've done is they've obviously done their new Wii U controller with the screen. Mm-hmm. Now, someone on Twitter said that they have an iPod Touch and an Apple TV. Why would they get a Wii U?
Yeah.
And I think it's the case of why would you get any console? It's a dedicated console sort of thing. You've got your exclusive Nintendo titles. You know, you've got your Zelda, your Mario, your Pokemon. You've got exclusive Nintendo titles. And I think the fact that it's got the physical gamery buttons, sort of the buttons on it.
This conversation a while back that you were making the complete opposite argument to me. Yeah, if we go back a few episodes, that you were wondering what the need that. Yeah, you thought that touch screen controls could take over.
Oh, I still do. I do think that the touchscreen controls can take over, and that's why they've got the touchscreen on the Wii U controller. What I'm saying is, for the mass market, for sort of the market, comparing an iPod Touch, it's like comparing an iPod Touch to an iPad. The size difference in itself is massively different. And I think, despite all things, the console gaming you still want, casual gamer, hardcore gamer, you're still going to want that sort of thing. The touchscreen, I think it's coming to a point where, yes, it would be nice to have some physical buttons. I'm going to say it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I couldn't get rid of physical buttons, not for gaming at the moment, especially not for hardcore gaming, which the Wii U is also trying to get more into, because the Wii has been generally just a casual kind of gaming console, like you said, like sort of Wii Sports, got like Mario, all that sort of thing. But sort of your hardcore gaming has been kind of left out, and it's mainly to do with both the controller and the fact that the Wii never had HD capability before. Now, with the Wii U, they're releasing what they're calling a Pro Controller, which is pretty much a complete rip-off of my blessed Xbox controller.
It's okay.
But we'll pass over that. But yeah, no, it's a capable machine, but like you said, it's very stiff competition.
Very
the
stiff.
Xbox, like we said, it has like Xbox Smart Glass, so it already has like a tablet kind of extension of the console.
With your own tablets, you don't actually buy another tablet.
Yeah, exactly. And it has, of course, Kinect as well, which is like your sort of motion gaming without the need for a controller full stop. So it sort of does cater for the casual market as well, and it's at a much cheaper price point. So
you can't play as Zelda on the Xbox.
No, that's the thing. I mean, we've spoken.
That's why
before.
Nintendo, I think, is keeping their franchises really close.
Yeah, because it is their selling points that without their own franchises, they are a bit knackered.
One way of putting it.
Yeah. Just put it out blunt. One company. Actually, no. Sorry. Before we move on to that, I want to talk about Nintendo's premium membership. So if you spend the equivalent of $62.50 if you have their premium console and you get like kind of elite membership, then you get £5 off.
£5 off what?
£5 off all your store purchases.
So you'd spend £57.50.
Yeah.
Unless my maths is terrible, probably is. £57.50, and it's not the greatest deal in the world.
No, I suppose
it's a deal.
Yeah, I was gonna say
They've done something.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of consoles now, in fact, all the consoles now have a membership-like service.
Yeah.
You know, you've got Xbox Live on the Xbox, you've got WiiU Premium on the Wii U, you've got
PlayStation Plus on the PlayStation.
Yeah. It's why I kind of stay away from consoles. I with PC gaming, you don't really have massive memberships. You have a membership, you know, buy certain titles on Steam, or, you know, but you don't have a you can only do this if this membership.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get that with PlayStation. You don't have to have a PlayStation Plus to play online. You have to have Xbox Live to play online. But you do get a much better service on Xbox Live as an owner of both consoles. Of course, I always pay for and choose Xbox Live every time, mainly because of the more social kind of features and stuff of it as well.
As well as they've actually updated it in the last few years.
Yeah, that as well. Is that you do pay for getting a lot more content as well.
If you want to hear our whole rant on the fact that PlayStation hasn't been updated in a few years, please check out the episode that we did for that.
Yeah, one of our backlog. Anyway, what I was starting to say was about a company which isn't keeping their franchises close to their heart, they're spreading them out, is Nokia. They've just launched, a rebrand of their Nokia maps, now called Nokia Here, on iOS. So they've launched it not as a native app, it's a HTML5 app currently. So it's a little bit slow, it's a little bit laggy, but it's very good and the potential for it is massive. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
I think it's interesting that Nokia, as happy as I am for it, I have a new map client to try, because that's all I seem to be doing recently. But I think it is interesting the fact that Nokia are releasing it to iOS, because the Lumia, it's one of their selling points on the Lumia, which is Nokia Maps. You can get Nokia Maps, and you get the whole augmented reality, which isn't on iOS yet.
It's a separate app. It's City Lens.
Well, it's map related.
Yeah.
But, you know, Nokia Maps is very much a selling point for the Lumia. So it is interesting that they've given it to iOS, even if it is in a minimalistic way.
Yeah.
I don't personally like sort of the app in myself. It works, it does well, but I think the fact that it's a nice
app is a nice design. I think it just is the fact that it is a HTML5 app at the moment. But as you spoke about, it is mainly about sort of giving a little bit of that experience to other platforms to try and entice them back to Lumia, where then you're getting a native app, which is fast, it's quick, it's nice, and people hopefully just give it a go.
But if they update the iOS apps and keep updating the iOS apps, then the iOS app is going to be as good, if not it's only slightly less good than the Lumia version, and people aren't going to want to switch.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think there's a lot of reasons for people to switch. And I mean, the Lumia's been doing very well at the moment. Nearly every market it's launched in so far, it's completely sold out. So whether that's just that they're sort of beating their expectations, or whether they've deliberately set a limited amount of devices to release to build the hype, like I think Apple do. Like Apple devices Apple either have really terrible
words, use them.
Apple either have terrible market analysts, or they deliberately set them to sell out so they look better each time.
Yeah, of course they do. All companies should. All companies would. If,
yeah.
You know, it's like, we're releasing the TEChBrits t-shirt. We're selling 3.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's run out.
Exactly. It sort of creates demand if a device looks like it's selling out. And I think that's probably what they're doing at the moment with the Lumia. It's annoying me a bit, but I still want one. Is the fact that they're making the yellow one exclusive to EE here. That contract thing, and it's driving me nuts because I really want one. I'm like trying to look.
HVC.
No, I'm not. The thing is that you need sort of Nokia's apps really that they provide for Windows Phone 8. You need their sort of drive applications and that sort of thing. It's all their extra services that Nokia provide that make Windows Phone 8 a sort of worthwhile competitor.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Nokia's Maps is fantastic. They've been in the game for a long, long time. I think when people think of Nokia, they think of generally just a phone company.
Yeah.
But they are almost just as much maps and software.
Well, that's what they wanted. They wanted, they wanted Google to be the place where you want to go and find stuff. iTunes is the place where you want to go find music. This is a rough example. And they wanted Nokia to be the place where you want to go and find maps.
Yeah, and they have a very good philosophy for their maps. They were saying that they're the only company that don't treat a map as a singular thing. It's built up of several layers for different case scenarios, so that they build a map specifically for walkers, they build a map specifically for your transit routes or your buses or your trains, they build a map for obviously cars driving, and they treat each of those separate so they can provide a more personal map each time you want to route. And obviously they have voice guidance by Navtech, and you can download the maps for offline use.
The fact that the maps are separate, like if you want to cycle somewhere, you want to cycle from Bristol to Bath, it doesn't say you have to cycle along this road.
Yeah.
If you were, there's a cycle path here that goes right behind like all these buildings that you can't get to by car, but there is a cycle path here. It is a certified cycle path. You're not just cycling on grass.
Yeah.
That you can take, and I think the fact that the roads are highlighted sort of as roads, I think that's a nice little touch.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it does need to be updated a lot. Their public transit ones seem to be. That was a big selling point for me, was a public transit, that you could just set sort of where you want to go, and it'll tell you instantly just sort of what bus you need to get at what time, what train you need to get. But it doesn't seem to be working that great here at the moment. As far as I'm aware, it does actually work better on their own devices, which is a bit weird. But hey, like I said, this is a first release, so we'll sort of give it some time. Cool.
Well, speaking of not first releases, FaceTime and iMessage have been having some downtime.
Yes. It's been annoying me to hell. Like, over the last sort of few months, you can sort of forgive it a couple of times. When it's a repeat thing, it's really annoying. First of all, we'll talk about FaceTime. FaceTime's not too bad because a FaceTime call will just fail. Like, if you can't connect it, it'll just fail. That's fine.
And in fact, they've added a new feature that if your connection isn't very strong, I noticed this the other day when we were FaceTime. When your connection isn't very strong, it does actually stop the call. It doesn't disconnect. It stops the call and says your connection is weak. Please wait. And then if your connection drops out, then it'll obviously disconnect the call. Yeah. But the fact that it keeps that connection there, I think is a nice additional touch that they've put in.
Yeah, and it's nice that they're alerting you. But something that they try to alert you on is in iMessages, where it says delivered, which doesn't actually mean it's delivered, which is really frustrating, really dodgy, and can really cause some problems. Like, you can imagine some sort of parents trying to send a message to their sons, their daughters, saying, we'll pick you up at this time, make sure that they're at this place, and it says delivered, and as far as you're aware, that's been delivered to their phone, but it's actually not. It's dropping messages, and it's almost been the end of sort of my relationship at one point, because of I sent loads of messages, and she was like, why aren't you replying to me? It's like, I've replied to everyone. I've just sent about 20 messages. I've received nothing. It's like,
maybe you should just send messages via Bird.
Yeah, that would be a more reliable option. But so for the fourth time in the past couple of months, I've switched off, just gone back to text messages.
Yeah, I mean, I've had iMessage problems a long time now, actually, since before these big problems have been arising. And oh my god, they're frustrating. My problem isn't that it doesn't say delivered. It says it just stops sending. So it sends and it will just stop, and it will just never send.
I'd rather that though, because then at least you know it's failed, and then at least you can send it as a text message. Whereas when it shows that it's sent and it's delivered, then that in your head, that you're satisfied that it's worked.
Yeah, that's why I send the message, and if they haven't responded within 5-10 minutes, like if it says important and they haven't responded in 5-10 minutes, I call the person.
Yeah,
phone booths. That's what we need.
But when I was sort of asking people a while back sort of why they buy into Apple so much, why they're so dedicated to them, they replied because they trust their products, their services, that they just work. Whereas with Apple Maps, with FaceTime, with iMessage lately, just nothing's working. All these things that you buy into, that you sort of want this sort of exclusivity of, these services aren't working, and like I said, and sometimes they're dodgy in a way.
Yeah, and it's, like you said earlier, dangerous.
Mm.
Cool. Well, there are a couple alternatives.
Yeah. First of all, if you want to use FaceTime, you can use an app called Tango. Now, Tango was first released to provide 3G video calls when FaceTime didn't allow it. Now, FaceTime you can still only use on 3G from a 4S onwards. This will allow you to use any iDevice
That has a front-facing
that has a front-facing camera.
Actually, I think it works on the 3GS as well.
Yeah, it does as far as I'm aware. Just of course,
Just
then
so-
you have to hold it backwards, which kind of defeats the point.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can use that for 3G calls. They've added in some other sort of messaging features and some like I think you can send video messages and stuff on it as well.
WhatsApp-y
like
type
vouchers.
features.
Yeah, kind of. Now, if you want to replace iMessage, now I would use a beautiful, wonderful, gorgeous app called GroupMe. Now, especially if you try this on iPad, you can basically start these groups and they look fabulous. So I think the
Quite
easiest.
nice on iPhone as well.
Yeah, it does work quite well on
And it's available on all handsets as well, Android and I want to say BlackBerry, but I think I'm wrong.
It might well be about because it is on Windows Phone as well. In fact, I think it's actually owned by Microsoft. It's like a subsidiary company of Microsoft.
It's a very nice app. Let's have a look.
But yeah, let's have a look. Right, so yeah, this is GroupMe, and essentially it's all based around groups. So you can start up a new group, call it anything you want, just sort of best friends, whatever, best buddies, and yeah.
How
start
camp did you sound there?
Best buddies. I don't know. I can go into these camp times like, every now and again. Leave me alone. So if we just go into one we started earlier, this was a TEChBrits one, and as we said, this is a wonderful interface. So there's our logo. You can set that manually, and this was set on George's phone and instantly appeared on mine over here. Yeah, you can just write text like you could on, say, WhatsApp. You can like sort of certain posts, send pictures, and you can also share the group link with anyone else if you want other people to instantly jump into it. So you can just press that one.
I think only the creator can do that.
Yeah, or you can of course share across your social networks as well. Yeah, I mean it's a pretty simple app. Apart from that, you can just direct message people.
There are a couple bugs with the app in general, aren't there?
Well, just this direct message one, I think I've found. It says he doesn't have the GroupMe app when actually he does.
And photos take a while to send.
First thing up, I think that's your Wi-Fi. To be honest, I noticed that it was running very slow, loading pages earlier as well.
But other than that, it's a gorgeous app.
Yeah, no, it's very nice, and it does work, and it's very quick as well. Almost as soon as you start to type in, it does say that someone's starting to type in, and when things are delivered, it's actually delivered. Little jab there, but yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, simply put, gorgeous app, beautiful design.
Yeah, and just works.
Ouch. Moving on to your favourite story in the show notes.
Yes. Now, Xbox Live, I think I've said this last couple of episodes, service I use a lot. I've had a lot of fond memories, and it's just came up to their 10-year anniversary. So, apart from being a bit emotional, they've
God, you said emotion.
I really wish I didn't. Ooh, I'm going to regret that one.
Yeah.
They've been handing out free 10-year anniversary consoles, which I really want, but they've been sending this out to their long-standing members, which I have been. I've been like a 10-year member, I think. But they're lovely consoles. Like it says, like Xbox Live 10-year anniversary on the side of it. And
would you give me your old Xbox if you got one of those?
Yeah, probably. What? No, Yes, probably.
Get on it, Microsoft. Hang on a second. Hello? Yes, I need you to send Ryan a limited edition Xbox anniversary edition.
I would have no problem with that if you have a direct line to Steve Ballmer, which I very much doubt.
He's on FaceTime. That's why I could never speak to him.
Yeah, true. But yeah, basically this was a US only promotion, which was really annoying. But they did hand out a free game and some discounts to people in all their launch markets.
What's
up? Just quite good.
Yay.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I say 10. Yeah, 10. Speaking of tens, Good segue.
Well,
Interrupted by the fact that I said it was a segue. BlackBerry 10 is set to be released end of January 2013, which is earlier than I thought it was going to be, considering they've continuously been saying Q1. January is Q1, and end of January is early Q1 in a way. But to sort of get people still a little excited about BlackBerry, even though it's way too late in our opinion, they've released BBM Voice.
Yeah. So if you use BlackBerry Messenger, then you can make free voice calls internationally, which it's good to have that built in. I do quite like that feature. It seems such a basic thing, really.
iVoice
now
will be next.
But that won't work. I'm surprised that sort of feature hasn't been built into either iOS or Android.
Well, Android doesn't really have a sort of a group, a messaging or a video call built in Android exclusive, but Android is very odd OS in my opinion. If you compare Android to iOS and BlackBerry, and to even Windows Phone at a stretch, it's a different OS depending on the handset you buy. So they could build it in, but what would you use to sort of?
I was going to say, so Windows Phone sort of has it built in, obviously.
Oh no, I wasn't saying
Skype.
I wasn't saying Windows Phone didn't. I was sort of saying that Android, like Windows Phone, Nokia, Windows Phone, HTC, they are still, as much as they are both Windows Phone, like you said earlier, you need the Nokia apps to sort of get anywhere. With Google, you got HTC Sense, you've got Samsung TouchWiz, you've got all these different skins. You know, to have an app that works on all of them built in is odd, because you don't really, and other than the store, phone, messages, mail, you don't really have any Android built-in apps, if you know what I'm saying. Except the like sort of the bog standard basic. This is a phone. This is how you use it. Apps.
Yeah, sort of, kind
of. Moving on.
Yeah.
Windows Phone.
Yeah, I was going to say Windows Phone 8 has actually had a bit of a problem. It seems to be having random reboots. And at first I thought this was just a HTC 8X issue, because I had a lot of people saying to me that their HTC 8X has been rebooted and restarting. But it seems to be quite a Windows Phone 8 device-wide issue. But yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It's just been rebooting. Now, a couple of people have said that they've removed Smart Glass. That seems to at least sort of made it less of a recurrent problem. But yeah,
You refuse to believe it.
Well, no, I believe it, but it's not too bad.
It is a 1.0 releases are known to sort of frazzle out in a way.
1.0 really isn't.
Windows. No, what I mean is this is the first release of Windows Phone 8.
Oh right, yeah.
That's what I mean.
Oh right, yeah. Okay, I was like Windows Phone 8 first.
Now, some exciting iTunes news. Remember a few months ago, actually it might be about a year ago now, the Beatles were released on iTunes after long sort of arguments with trademarks and stuff. The Beatles were finally released on iTunes exclusively, and you can now get the Beatles on iTunes. Well, there was another band that didn't want to go sort of the iTunes or online route in a way, and that was AC/DC.
Yeah.
And AC/DC are now available to buy on iTunes.
Yes, which I'm actually... Well, I say happy about. I would have been happy about, except for I don't really use iTunes anymore. So I stream all my services. But AC/DC was one of the first bands that, when I went on iTunes, I was looking for, and obviously I couldn't find. So I wasn't... people are going to hate me for this, but I don't like the Beatles. They're just, completely overhyped. But AC/DC is a band I love.
Alright, I'll come back. I better come back.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, no, I'm glad to have AC/DC on there. Yeah, I mean, it's a sign of times that people are sort of giving in and sort of embracing sort of more of these services. I'm surprised it took them so long to get on there.
I think I heard, basically I tried to buy an AC/DC song a long time ago on iTunes, and I heard it was because that they only wanted to release their music in album form.
Yeah.
Which you could have done anyway. There are plenty of albums on iTunes which you can only buy if you buy the whole album.
Oh, right. I see what you mean.
See what I mean?
Yeah. I thought you meant just a physical copy of the album, which I could sort of understand from sort of a band like them Like there's nothing more sort of nostalgic about
that could be the case.
Physical rock record, is there?
Yeah, well, CDs are on their way out, which is a shame, but they're still there for now. But
I was going to say, sort of embracing the new thing is obviously Spotify, and Spotify have just launched their web app, which is something I've been waiting for quite a while.
Does this mean... Hold the phone. Does this mean you can use the Facebook Spotify integration and load it in the web app?
Never thought of that. Yeah, I suppose that you should be able to somehow or other. It's currently in a closed beta. It's in a very limited beta.
Everything exciting is in closed beta. The new MySpace, the Spotify web app. I want access to these things.
I was going to say, you're going to have to start sending us some out. Like, I've had a lack of beta invite emails these last few days.
It's okay. It's okay.
I can't be dealing with this.
This Friday. That's the story. Next, this Friday we have Black Friday, which is an American holiday, so it's got nothing really to do with the UK at all. But the UK do get the advantage of Black Friday offers.
Yeah, especially from Amazon. There's a few other retailers that do sort of smaller deals.
There is a retailer that only ever does offers on Black Friday.
Oh.
Apple. Apple only ever do offers on Black Friday. And it is basically a big shopping holiday. It's the time of year, I think it's just after Thanksgiving. I think it's the day after Thanksgiving, like the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Which basically means shop! Just go mad! Shop
now
for Christmas.
Are the Apple deals ever that good?
They're really bad.
Yeah.
I think it's like £2 off iPods. Like, that's the type of money we're getting off here.
Fantastic. Excited about that one then, thrilling. But no, Amazon have been offering some damn good deals. So yeah, head over to Amazon.
Well, you can head over to Apple as well if you're an Apple fan. It's a
Yeah,
deal. I think they're selling £25 iTunes vouchers for like 20 quid.
That's pretty good then.
So, but you can get that at other retailers. Just saying. Let's talk about a phone that you told me about a long time ago that I should get, that I should kind of look at, called the Oppo Find 5, which was released in China. Talk to me.
Which hasn't released in China just yet.
Might be released in China?
Well, they're officially announcing it on the 12th of December, this year. So it's the 12th of the 12th of the 12th. Clever marketing that was. But yeah, it was supposed to have been like the first phone with a 1080p display. The Verizon Droid DNA beat that to it, which that phone, the Droid DNA, has had amazing reviews. I've been following that and I've been wanting that phone. Like people sort of reviewing that display, they're saying how the pixels just like melt off the screen.
He's not going to buy a new phone at this rate.
No, I know, there's so much coming out. And
I reckon 3 years from now you'll be like, so, there's these phones. Ryan, what phone are you using? iPhone 4.
That is it. There always seems to be something else. But the Oppo Find 5, it looks good, and yeah, it should be announced on the 12th of the 12th of the 12th.
International release? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? We'll find out.
We seem to be making a fair deal about it, so yeah, I'd imagine it'll be an international release. Fingers crossed.
Jawbone Up!
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Jawbone Up. Now, the Jawbone Up, if you guys don't remember, was a little wristband. That's why I've rolled my sleeves up. The little wristband that you go around your wrist, and you kind of keep on you all the time. It worked as an alarm. It worked as like fitness instructor, calorie monitor, and it connected to your phone via your iPhone via the headphone jack, and it loaded it up, presenting it in a really beautiful.
Monitors your entire life. It's a little bit creepy, but it's cool at the same time.
I really liked it, and it had sort of sleep functionality and all this. What happened? It didn't work.
No, it just was a complete failure. Like within a couple of weeks, they all broke, and it forced Jawbone to recall. Well, actually, they didn't recall them all. They just offered complete refunds to everyone who bought one.
So even if it was still working, if you have got a working Jawbone Up, you have money back. You bought it for free. Yeah,
I was going to say, I know we were a bit gutted at the time, because I think we made an episode about it, didn't we?
Yeah, we wanted to buy one.
Like, oh, dang it, could have had a free one. But yeah, they've completely revamped it. It still looks the same, but sort of a lot of the internals I think have changed, and they've like completely changed their app and everything for it, and it now actually works. So yeah,
I just like the wake up functionality. I don't run that much. I don't eat healthy. I do eat quite healthy, but I don't really care about eating healthy. The wake up function is my favourite. It does a gentle vibration on your skin going, wake up. And it's like no alarm.
Yeah, don't actually say that, by the way. It doesn't just
wake up.
That'd be a weird freaking alarm, wouldn't
it? Wake up. Wake up.
I'm watching you.
But no, I might get one this time. In hopes that in hopes that it breaks again.
Yeah. Right, well, that's it for this episode.
Wraps it up for everything. Let's quickly end the show with our normal didgeridoos. Twitter, @TEChBrits.
Hosts, @Gadget_Rye.
@George Lim, that's J's instead of GE's. We're running out of words, apparently. Or, of course, you can use the hashtag TEChBrits32 to submit stories for next week's episode. Please, we do follow these hashtags, and they help a lot in the show. Like the first couple of stories today, the one about 4G was obviously Paul Watson 12, and the one about the WiiU was Rockwell 7 and Barry Aldridge. So thank you very much for submitting those.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to email us anything about the show, techbrits@gmail.com.
Yep.
But hopefully we shall see you guys next week. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we shall see you then. I swear, whatever you're doing, every time you do that, I swear you're going.
It's there!
Cheers. Alright.
Left of your head. No, yeah, left of your head.
Left of my... What?
There.
There. Why
Yes.
is it in the middle?
Because you're quite far to the left. Never mind. We'll see you guys next week. Ciao.